Hi, and welcome to Cosmic Consciousness with Kassia. On this channel, we discuss all aspects of the ascension process. I have a variety of services that I offer to assist in your awakening journey, and you can find those listed in the description box below. So today we're going to be talking about this transition from the fifth sun into the sixth sun, according to the Aztec or Toltec calendar. And this occurred on May 28th, 5/28/2021, that beautiful day of that love frequency, right? The 528 hertz frequency. So on this beautiful day of love, we transitioned from one sun or epoch into another one. And so the information that I'm going to give you guys today is from a man named Sergio Magana. And Sergio Magana studies this Toltec tradition, and he actually wrote a book about this transition into the sixth sun. There's not a whole lot of information on this out there. It's a new idea in a lot of ways from someone who has been studying this tradition for a very long time. And I'm going to include in the description box below the interview that I watched. It's posted on Bridget Nielsen's channel. I've heard really amazing things about her. This is the first time I've watched her, but I know a lot of people who do. I know someone who went to a retreat with her that she said was amazing. So a very fascinating woman. In many regards. And so Sergio is one of her teachers, and she interviewed him for her channel about this fifth into the sixth sun transition. And so we're going to be going over that energy a little bit and pulling some cards to see what we can find in store for us. And so this is similar. Sergio talked about in the video that I watched, the distinction and the difference between the Mayan calendar and the Aztec calendar, and how a lot of people get confused and they think that they're the same thing, but they're actually not. They're actually different. And what I found really interesting is that the Aztec have different ages and the Mayans have different ages, right? And these ages are around 26,500 years, and they're broken down into segments. And if we look at the astrological ages, those ages are around 26,000 years, right? And so it's all just being viewed from a different lens. So when we talk about moving from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, we're talking about that as one gigantic age. In the Mayan and then in the Aztec calendars, they break that down into segments. And so the Mayans split that into 5 segments of about 5,000 something years apiece. And this was a big deal when we looked at 2012, because that was the shifting of an age where a lot of people thought a lot of crazy things were going to happen. Some people thought the world was going to end. Honestly, I was a little bit on the fence myself. I got pulled into some of that energy too. And I was very excited to see what would happen if it did. And of course it didn't, right? But that's sort of where that energy came from. Now, with the Aztec calendar, they split the ages into four sectors of 6,625 years each. And all of those ages added up together, or those sectors or epochs or suns as they call them, sort of denote the stages of an age. And so we have been closing out the stages of one of these suns or epochs as we move into a new sun or epoch. And the way that Sergio breaks it down is actually a little bit different. He goes from the fourth into the fifth into the sixth, right? So these epochs just continue to build on each other. And so the way that he talks about it, we just finished out the fifth epoch or fifth sun. And we have now entered, as of May 28th, the sixth epoch or sixth sun. And so this fifth sun, there was a transitional period, kind of like how we talk about on here, how as the age of Pisces is closing out, the age of Aquarius is beginning. There's an overlapping and a transition. There was an overlapping and a transition period for this too, as we moved from the fifth until the sixth sun. And that transition period began in 1991, according to the calculations of this Aztec calendar. So we had the first 20 years of that transition that we saw as a lot of external changes and shifts. And then the last few years of that transition, the final stages starting in 2012, we saw more of an internal shift beginning to happen. And the reason for this is because the fifth sun is all about the external. They call it by a few different names. Some of those names are the tonal sun, the flint sun, or the angry sun. And so that's the age that we were, or the epoch, the sun that we were in which is very much an externally focused energy. It's a very masculine energy, but it's sort of like a distorted masculine energy in a lot of ways that we were working with. So there's a lot of domination, a lot of control, a lot of injustice, right? That's why they call it the angry sun. And a lot of focus on the outside, right? God is outside. What I need to make me feel whole is outside. Knowledge is outside. It was all about external expression. And so now as we move into the 6th sun, it's a more feminine energy. It's all about going inside. It's about the womb. It's about the darkness, right? It's about the shadow in a lot of ways. So we're going inside. We're internalizing. And we're really in this process of beginning to know and understand ourselves on a much deeper level as we really explore what's going on the inside. Right? And we really begin this understanding of how the inside mirrors the outside and how we affect the outside most powerfully from the inside and not the other way around. So we're really digging deep into this. There's a lot of ancestral healing. This 6th sun is called the white sun. And so we're doing a lot of all the stuff that we're seeing right now, right? The belief work, the shadow integration, the ancestral healing, right? The understanding of how and why, right? Why are things the way they are? Why do I behave the way that I behave? Why do I react the way that I react? Why do I perceive the way that I perceive? And so it's that very internalized process of beginning to unravel what the mystery within is really sort of the energy of what this is about. And the ultimate manifestation of this energy, and remember, this is an age or an epoch. And so it's going to be, it's a many, many years, right? We're talking 5,000-6,000 years of this cycle. And so as we're beginning this, it's not all going to happen at once. It happens in stages, right? But we are in the beginnings of this where ultimately this is the return of Quetzalcoatl. It's the return of the ascended masters of Christ consciousness. It is an energy where everyone is living the best version. They are the best version of themselves, living the best version of their reality that they can live. It's that energy of dreams, right? Of intuition. And so we're really learning how to live that waking dream, which is what we talk about a lot, right? But first we have to go into that. We have to delve deep into the dream. And then we understand how everything is a dream, right? And how for a very long time, we have been living somebody else's dream. They talk about this in that video a lot, and I really like that analogy, right? We were living somebody else's dream. So now we want to be living our own dream. But we need to wake up. We need to understand what it is that is creating. Like, we have to understand ourselves. In order to live our own dream, we have to understand, it's kind of like you're thinking about like dream analysis, right? How we analyze the symbolism and the different things in our dream, and it teaches us stuff about our consciousness. That's basically what we're doing. We're analyzing, but we're not just analyzing our sleeping dream, we're analyzing our waking dream. And we're understanding how interwoven the sleeping dream and the waking dream are. And we're really, instead of focusing on the change from the external, we're focusing on it from the internal. So I think that that's all we're going to do for the talking. We're going to pull some cards, and I want to start with some Black Moon astrology cards. Clear. Let's talk about this white sun, this 6th epoch or sun that we are moving into, that we have moved into. What energies can we get around this? What are we learning? How are we growing? Let's see what information we can get here. So we have the water element sensing, right? So that is that feminine energy. That is that intuition. That is that emotion. That is that diving deep, right? If we were talking tarot right now, we'd be talking about like the moon card. That's the energy that we're moving into. So we're really learning how to sense. We're really learning how to get in touch and in tune with our emotional bodies, with our feminine bodies, with our spiritual bodies, and how to sense from that inner place, how to gain that inner standing, as my friend Kayla likes to say. Then we have the 2nd house coming out, owning. So this is an interesting energy. So this is really us owning our intuition, owning our gifts, owning our abilities, owning owning our own energy. I'm definitely feeling that coming out. But this is also, the second house is about the physical world, all right? So this is physical changes and physical shifts. Things that are shifting and changing in our physical reality. And I'm really being drawn, as I'm looking at this card right now, to the pyramid here with the all-seeing eye. And this is also me feeling like we're sensing, so this symbology was originally simple esoteric symbology, right? And then it was sort of taken over by certain individuals, certain sects of the population, who many people, myself included, believe sort of kind of guide and run the world with a hidden hand, if you will. And so I'm feeling that, like people really sensing that and beginning to feel and understand that and liberate ourselves from that energy. I also feel like this is the connecting into our own true esoteric knowledge and power. And watching as we do that, as the outer realm begins to shift. And then we have Uranus coming out with the North Node, life's purpose. And so this is all about genius. This is all about doing things different ways. So this is our purpose during this age, right? During this age, our purpose, the energy that we're moving into, how we're being called to evolve, right, is through different ways and means than we have ever done before. Uranus, this is the genius energy. This is the alien energy, right? They call Uranus the aliens of the zodiac. So really expressing what makes us unique, right? Uranus energy is the energy that rules Aquarius. And it's all about thinking differently. It's about thinking outside the box. It's about doing things differently. It's about embracing what makes us unique and special. And it's about really knowing and understanding that, but also understanding how our individual, and this goes in with a lot of the energies that we talk about with the crystal tone, which we're working with this month, this galactic month, right? How we understand how our individual uniqueness then blends into the bigger picture and helps to support that greater framework of the whole. Right? So there's a lot of energy of that. There's a lot of energy of just really, this is also communication from higher realms. Uranus represents technology, but Uranus represents new technology. It represents new advances. It represents the forward moving energy, which oftentimes is inspired by higher beings. Right? So this is definitely contact with an integration of our star-seeded potential. Integration with these other beings, right? We talked about how as this age progresses, or as the sixth sun progresses, it's the return of the ascended masters. It's the return of Christ consciousness, right? Of a lot of these different beings as they come back to the planet, and as we come back, right? There's more and more. Most people watching this video are what would we be labeled as starseeds, right? You don't come from here, right? We're already of this energy. And so more and more of this energy coming to proliferate the earth, and more of the advances that energy brings. Like, we're making huge advances. It's like there were energies for a long time that blocked our access to this information, to this knowledge, to this connection, and to these resources. What we're actually capable of right now, we have not been shown even a fraction of, right? That knowledge has been withheld from us, but we're tapping into that knowledge within ourselves. And once we do that, it cannot, like, you can't withhold that. There's no way to do that when we find it within. And that's why it's so important to go within, because it all exists within here, right? And to really make our own connection. And then, of course, we have the Solar Eclipse Revolution card on the bottom of the deck, right? So that's the energy. That is the energy that we are moving into as we move into the sixth sun. So this is really big, beautiful, bold energy that we are coming into. And then we have, I like this actually. So we have Virgo, I analyze, and we have Sagittarius, I know. And so this is another thing, right? We're moving out of this very linear thinking energy, this very analytical energy, this energy that I guess I will call it this very masculine energy, but also just this energy of the mind, right? We're moving out of the facts and the figures and the information and that external knowledge and information, right? That analytical type feel. And we're moving into a knowing, right? This is like claircognizance. This is where we don't need to learn it. We don't need to be told it because we already know. It just comes in as a knowing. We don't need the facts. We don't need the figures to support because we already know the truth. We sense the truth. We feel the truth. We know the truth. And then we stand by that truth and we communicate that truth and we live that truth. So that's the energy, moving from that analytical mind into that knowing mind. And people talk about this sometimes too, right? With this as the ascension, one of the symptoms of the ascension sometimes can be this energy of like brain fog and forgetfulness. And the reason for that is because the memory part of our brains isn't where we're going to be functioning from as we move into these higher dimensions. We're going to be functioning from that place of knowing, right? Where we have instant access to anything that we need to know or understand. We don't need to do the research, right? We don't need to continue to file and categorize everything away and save it for later when we need to access it, because it's all right there and instantly accessible at our fingertips. It's kind of like how you look at the internet right now, except that internet library, instead of being outside, is inside. And we're able to connect with that instantly and get the information and the knowledge that we need. And it just comes through as that pure sense of knowing. And then we have the fire element desire on the bottom of the deck. So really, this is us living our desires, right? Living from that heart space, from that creative space, from that sacred space, that sacred life force space, really bridging that primal life force energy and our spiritual energy to create something magnificent. And I actually want to pull a couple Wisdom of the House of the Night cards. Clear. And I'm not really sure why, but we're going to go with it. What guidance do we have as we move into this, as we enter this sixth sun, or even as we transition from the fifth into the sixth, right? Because there's still going to be elements, right? This is a transition. This is we're building and creating this epoch, this sun, this age as we go. And so there's a lot that we're learning. It's not like all of the energies of that fifth sun, that flint sun, right, are just going to be erased now that we've moved into the sixth sun. There's still going to be residue left over from that. And there still is going to be that energy of duality for quite a while. And we see that. We see sort of those opposing forces, or seemingly opposing forces, if you will. And part of our journey is to stop seeing them as so separate and start seeing them as more unified opposites, right? So we have Fragment coming out. We have the Fledgling. We have Movement. And we have Loyalty. With Risk on the bottom of the deck. And so I want to look at this fragment energy here for a second. I feel partially like this is sort of those fragments, or those residual pieces of the old self, of the old age, that we're sort of still sifting through. Let's see. My child, you are always whole. Even if at times things feel separate and fragmented, that is only an illusion. Choosing this symbol reminds you that all the moving parts of your life are important. If the one you're asking about seems confusing, focus on the one that brings you clarity. Be here now and know that I, Nyx, love you and see you as beautiful and whole, regardless of how disconnected things seem. Also remember to take a step back when you're trying to understand something. You may be looking at only one piece of a giant puzzle, a fragment of the truth. See the big picture through my eyes, and no matter what, all is well. Oh, so that's really perfect, right? And so this is really that energy of right? We're talking about the illusion of the duality, the illusion of the opposing forces, the illusion of separateness, the illusion of the fact that, like, the understanding that all things are actually connected, even if they do not appear to be, and really seeing through that illusion, and which then allows us to become more unified, to become part of that whole. And I really like that analogy of how you may be looking at one piece of a larger puzzle. So if you're just focusing in on one thing, right, you're going to miss the grander design. And so this energy is really about us. And this is what happens when we go within, right? Then we're able to understand more. We're not laser focused on one piece of the puzzle. We're able to expand our view. This is also when we talk about like the eagle vision, right? We're able to expand our view to see a bigger picture. So that's part of the energy of what we're learning to do, is to really expand our view of things. And with the fledgling here, right, this is something new. This is us coming into this new age and beginning this new age, and we're not 100% steady on our feet, right? We're a little bit naive. We're a little bit new to this. And so this is just the understanding of, like, give ourselves time, right? Give yourself time to adjust. Give yourself time to get your footing underneath you, right? When you have a baby or an animal that's just learning to walk, right? It takes a little while. They're not steady on their feet at first. And so we're not going to be steady on our feet at first. This is completely new energy to us that we are moving into. And to just allow that, but to know eventually we will be able to charge ahead, right? There will be that movement. And that movement will be steady. But first, like, it's like I'm seeing the image of like the foal or whatever they call the baby horse, right? And how its legs wobble and everything. And then you see this is what we become. And that horse energy just keeps coming up in readings, you guys. And what is that horse energy also about? That horse energy is about freedom, right? It's about unbridled passion. It's about breaking free, about that Uranus energy, very much Uranus energy with the horse energy. So I love that Uranus energy keeps coming through. And so this loyalty card is interesting. And I feel like what this is a reminder for us about is to remain loyal to ourselves. And this is card number 33. To remain loyal to ourselves, to remember what it is that we are loyal to. Right? What is worth our loyalty? Where does our loyalty lie? I feel like there's going to be a lot of situations that come up that sort of ask that question. And our actions and our reactions are showing where our loyalties lie. And so to really pay attention to that. Is your loyalty to your own heart? Is your loyalty to the continued growth and evolution of humanity, right? Do we understand how to be loyal both to ourselves and to the collective, that energy of interdependence, right? And are we willing to take those risks when those risks are called for? That's very much like the Fool energy in the Tarot. And then we have Oath coming out. So we have loyalty and oath. And so this is feeling very much like that energy, that reminder, right? That we took an oath, we swore an oath when we came here. We swore an oath to be loyal to ourselves, to be loyal to our path. And there's going to be a lot of changes, especially in these beginning stages. A lot of shifts and changes where we're going to have to trust in the higher plan. We're going to have to really practice that process of stepping back to try to see the larger picture, because there's going to be a lot of events that really may cause some of us to waver, may cause some of us to forget where our true loyalty lies, to forget this oath that we made, right? To question whether things are moving forward, because at times it may look like things are moving backward. But it's always holding on to that and remembering that. Like, you see how he has his fist pressed up against his chest, and you can see the light coming off of his fist. right? He remembers who he is. He remembers why he came here and what he came here to do. He remembers where his loyalties lie. Interesting. To his path, to his purpose, to his life bliss. And I'm saying his or her, right? That's just the adjective or the word that I'm using. And then we have the word forbidden coming out. Or the card, rather. Interesting. Choices. And you notice how this angel, he has one light wing and one dark wing, right? So I feel like this is very interesting energy. And then we have trapped and self-worth. I feel like this is very interesting energy here. I feel as though there are going to be choices laid out in front of us, right? Different diverging paths. And we're definitely looking at the path of love versus fear here. I don't like using it sometimes, depending on how I'm doing, like the reading that I'm doing, using incredibly dualistic or polarizing terms such as light versus dark. I'm not super into that. Because remember, they're all parts of the whole. However, this is like fear versus love. There's going to be choices, different choice points. And at different choice points, we're going to be reminded of this loyalty, of this oath, right? But I also feel as though people's choices may be misinterpreted. And so this is why you go with your own internal barometer. Because what appears to be a choice in one direction may actually be a choice in the other. Things are going to be, looks may be deceiving during this time. Right? And this is, we've talked about this before. Sometimes things are the exact opposite of what they appear. And so this is a reminder not to judge others for the choices they make. This is a reminder not to judge yourself for the choices that you make. And this is a reminder that at some point, you may choose something that is forbidden. So it has a very naughty feel to it. You may choose something that is forbidden. There's a naughty feel for some, but it's not like naughty in like a... It's not naughty in... Like when I say naughty, it's sort of like what I'm feeling is almost like choosing... When we talked about this energy, right? This esoteric knowledge that was kept from us, that we're reclaiming right now. That's sort of like the forbidden choice sometimes. Right? And so it's society may have forbidden this choice. This may have been us making choices to access things that have been locked away, that are our true divine birthright. Right? Accessing knowledge, accessing intelligence, accessing energy, accessing air, elements, fragments of ourselves that we may have hidden away from ourselves. Yeah, and so it's going to be really interesting to note and pay attention to why was this forbidden in the first place, right? Sometimes things are forbidden for our protection. Sometimes things are forbidden because it's easier to control us when we do not have access to certain things, when we don't know certain things, when that knowledge is hidden. Very fascinating. And then this is that energy, right, with the trapped and the self-worth. This is that energy of where have we trapped ourselves. This is an energy of understanding and seeing where we have been trapped and where we can set ourselves free, and knowing that we are worthy of that, knowing that we are deserving of that. This is that energy, and they talk about it in the video that I linked in the description box below. This energy of how we've been living somebody else's dream, right? And how sort of we've been manipulated in order to be controlled, right? We've been like the bird in the cage. And so now we are setting ourselves free, and part of that is through this forbidden knowledge, these forbidden choices that we are making, right? But we have to know that we're worthy. Worthiness is huge. Worthiness is huge. There's so many of us that are working on this concept right now of really knowing and believing and understanding how truly worthy we are simply because we exist, right? We don't need any reasoning deeper than that, but it's been so deeply ingrained in us that we are not. And that's one of the biggest traps of all. One of the biggest things that keeps us in this cage. It's ignorance, and it's a lack of self-worth. It's a lack of value. It's a lack of realizing and understanding and seeing and remembering the truth of who we are. And that's an energy that we're coming back into even more powerfully during this sixth sun, is that energy of remembering who we are. And then we have letting go coming out. Letting go of what was to embrace what is. Oh, that was a flyer right there. Then we have denial and invisible. Letting go of denial. Releasing denial. Being willing and able to see things for what they are. That's a big energy. And notice how she's like standing, and this water could be seen as a mirror. Right? It could be seen as a portal. It could be seen as a mirror. There's a reflection. Oh, it is a mirror. It's not water. That is a mirror that she's standing on. Right? So it's like being willing to go within. This is going within. This is looking in the mirror. This is seeing the shadow. This is seeing the truth of what exists within. And only when we break free of this denial, when we are willing to look, see, honor, and acknowledge the truth, are we able to then really release and let go. Let go of the things that are keeping us trapped. And then ending with a 44 on the bottom of the deck again, which is playful, right? And I think that's just a reminder that these are intense, powerful energies that we're working with. But like to keep that lighthearted and playful feel no matter what it is that we're doing. I think we're going to close with a Beyond Lemuria card. Clear. Let's get some closing guidance. Or some closing energy for this sixth sun. Yeah. I mean, this is the wisdom of the House of the Night Oracle that we just pulled from, right? So this is the other side, right? We have to be willing to look at both sides. These are some of those deeper, more subconscious energies, because this is a subconscious energy that we're delving into. This is that shadow energy, right? And so it is appropriate to have pulled some cards from a shadow deck. And I absolutely love that deck. It's so powerful. But we're going to close with one of these and see. All right. So we have harmonic flight. And I love how you have the masculine and the feminine, right? We have communication, co-creation. And we have new blueprints. With the high heart chakra on the bottom of the deck. And alignment under that. And I want to look at what harmonic flight says. Out of the book. Right, but it's also this understanding. So we talk about the fifth sun. The angry sun, the tonal sun, the flint sun. And I feel it very much as masculine and feminine energies moving into the sixth sun, a very feminine energy. But understand that's not that I'm saying that that is what masculine energy is. The fifth sun was a distortion of masculine energy. And so now we have this, people call it the rise of the divine feminine, the dawn of the divine feminine. We're moving into this feminine energy, right? And this feminine energy is healing. But we're not just healing the feminine, we're healing the masculine as well. As we move into this energy, we're taking those lower vibrations of the masculine healing, and we're raising that up. We're raising the masculine up to a higher frequency, to its true divine and sacred frequency, right? Because as we're moving into this new earth, it's not, it's feminine energy. Oh, it's moving away from masculine into feminine. We're blending those two energies. It's the unification of those energies. It's the unification of all opposites. Understanding, like we keep talking about, that opposites are simply upholding a balance, right? But we can move, like, that balance it's not always necessary to have those opposites, or at least to see and experience those opposites as opposites. We can experience them as complementing pieces of the whole. We can experience them and see them as a wholeness, as a network, right? Instead of seeing that fragment, right? Seeing them as separate. When we see from the expanded view, we see them as one. And so it's about the harmonization and the unifying of the masculine and the feminine energy as we move into this new age. It's not that we're moving away from masculine energy completely. We're healing the divine feminine. We're healing the divine masculine. And those healed energies are coming together in that energy of creation in order to birth this new earth, okay? All right, so what do we have here with the harmonic flight? So this says, seeing the divine in the eyes of another. Relationships with deep bonds, karmic connection, clearing illusory projections, life-changing connection, transmuting dissonance, removing heart armor, being seen, and teamwork. And that teamwork is heavily reflected by communication, co-creation, coming out as the second card. This powerful image represents the divine we see when we look deeply into the eyes of another and our armor drops. When we meet another being present in the moment with no stories, judgments, or insecurities. When we see the person standing before us as the gods and goddesses they are, it is a reminder that we are what we perceive in others. But also when we drop into the mindless space of pure essence, we might see the world seeing us seeing them through the infinite, eternal allowing all that is. Many people are seeking their twin flame. As life-changing, world-rocking, and unfathomably beautiful finding this soul can be, it is quite possibly one of the most intensely confronting, trigger-provoking, and sometimes painful connections we can have. Those who are most dear to us can bring us to our greatest growth. That is why spending extended periods with our family can be challenging. When we can see and be seen, disarmored and trusting, we can come to deeper love. And so really talking about that twin flame energy, we're talking about our inner twin flame energy, and we're also talking about how this sixth sun is a period of union, twin flame union, right? When we've moved through all of these painful triggering energies, right? When we've moved up and out of those, when we've been willing to see, to look, wherever that reflection card was, right? This card. When we've been willing to see, make the invisible visible. When we've been willing to do that inner work, right? That's when we see these outer twin flame unions as well, but we see that within first. Yeah, so this talks about experiencing others, right? This talks about that beginning stages of that twin flame process, or of any process where we have a mirror that is showing us the depths and the truth of who we are, right? What we need to heal, where we need to grow. Harmonic flight shows us that when we harmonize our energies with that of another in any form of relationship, we can soar to the sky. We can guide each other higher and higher by encouraging all that has been weighing us down to drop away. Yeah. Yeah. So this is really us stepping into this energy of being able to notice everyone and everything that is mirroring, and being in this energy where we see that and we begin that process of healing it immediately, right? We stop externalizing things. We stop putting the blame on somebody else. And when we notice something, when something comes up within us, we instantly go within and we find the source of that and we heal that, right? And so this is where in the fifth sun, the fifth age, the end of this fifth age, and probably the beginning of the sixth age, right? Because this is a process. We had this energy. And so this is a message, especially for twin flames, but it's universally applicable, right? Where those energies were painful when they were brought up in each other. And all of the deep cycles of healing and separation and all of that energy, right? We're moving through that energy and we're moving into a new type of experience and expression of that energy. When we can unify, when we can come together, when we can bring out the best in each other, right? So that's really, really beautiful. And this is just that energy for everyone, right? Universally applicable in any type of relationship. When we begin seeing and understanding that everything is a reflection showing us the healing that's ready to be done in us, we do that healing. And then we move into this energy of harmony, right? We move into this energy of communication and co-creation, where we are building things together. We are creating the new blueprints for a new earth. Right? We are templating this new earth. We are creating those blueprints and we are bringing that into fruition. And we're doing that through this energy of ecstatic bliss, the energy of the high heart. And it was actually really interesting once. So I went to this place called the Rhythmia Life Advancement Center out in Costa Rica. And it's an ayahuasca center. So we did ayahuasca. We took part in 4 ayahuasca ceremonies during the course of the week that we were there. And on my first ayahuasca ceremony, I had this experience of being a creator being. It was honestly like, it was probably an hour or 2 of just experiencing this ecstatic bliss, this orgasmic bliss. And I had this understanding of how worlds were birthed. Like I had this experience of myself birthing worlds. And I was doing it out of this orgasmic, ecstatic energy. Like that is the energy of creation. That is the dynamic energy that comes forth to birth and create things. And so we're moving into that ecstatic bliss. Right? We're connecting from that high heart chakra. We're connecting, we're looking into one another's eyes and we're seeing ourselves staring back. But that's no longer painful because we have gone through this process of being healed. That is ultimately where the sixth sun or age leads. Right? It's a beautiful experience of recognition because we recognize and we see the beauty in ourselves in another, and we understand that there is no other. And that beauty looking back at us is the same beauty that exists in ourselves. All right, I love you guys. I appreciate you. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Really exciting energies that we are moving into. There's a lot of work to be done, but we came here, right? We made this oath. We made this commitment. We wouldn't have made this commitment if we didn't know that we could do it, right? And so we are doing it. It is happening, and it's just so exciting to be able to share so openly about this journey, right? Like what an incredible amount of freedom we have just to be able to do that and to be able to connect like this. And it's just about continuing to free ourselves. Every time we release a limiting belief, we free ourselves more. Every time we fall in love with ourselves more deeply, we free ourselves more. Every time we allow ourselves to access that endless reservoir of knowledge that exists within ourselves, we free ourselves more. Every time we love another, we free ourselves more, right? So it's all about continuing to free ourselves. As we liberate ourselves, we liberate this planet. All right, if you like this video, hit that like button. There are links down below if you so choose to donate. There's also, like I said, the link to the video with Sergio. I got to look up his last name to make sure I don't get it wrong here. With Sergio Magana and Bridget Nielsen, if you guys want to check that out as well. And yeah, my email's down below. Reach out to me if you want to do any belief work, if you want an energy healing. I do a really powerful form of energy healing called Belvaspata. It works with these higher dimensional energies and beings and angels. And it's just the effects that it can have, the shifts that it can help produce are so incredibly profound. It was downloaded in order to assist humanity in this ascension process and everything that we are. I wanted to say going through, but going through makes it sound like a chore, and it's not. It's absolutely beautiful. Everything that we are so fortunate to be able to experience right now. How's that? I like that. Yeah, so all of that is down in the description box below. I love you. I appreciate you. You are amazing. You are sovereign. You are free. Right? You are amazing. You are sovereign. And you are free.